Hello and welcome back to the Global Mindfulness in Education Summit. I'm one of your two hosts, Dr. Chris Willard, and today we are turning toward China, where I'm going to be speaking with my friend, Dr. Hailan. She is a medical doctor and has a PhD and has done so much different kinds of work. She spent 20 years in the medical field, 20 in psychology and education. And what's really interesting to her these days is mindfulness, self-compassion, and really building the capacity for a peer-led, peer education kind of intervention on a large scale in China, which we know is a pretty large country. So welcome, Dr. Hailan. Would you like to just introduce yourself and say a little bit more about yourself and what you're doing?
Thank you so much, and very, very nice meeting you, Dr. Willard. And it's honored to be in this conversation with you. So I'm Hailan from China. I'm also founder of Helen Family Wellbeing. So my work is, main purpose train lay people to know how to regulate their emotions and learn self-compassion, mindful self-compassion. And because I know from medical field and CPR training, train people, lay people, to help people who are in all different kind of emergency situation, which saves millions lives. I think it's very, very practical, because people who do not get sick in doctor's office get sick in the community, in the home, or in workplace. So it's great, training to help so many people. And also, as psychology, we know we have crisis intervention, which is, majority of people who work there, also lay people. They get trained and then they help people who try to kill themselves, or who are in serious situation of mental status. So I'm reasoning why we have to wait people who either physical near death, or the mental health in crisis. Why we cannot train people how to regulate their emotions? For lay people, then they can, if they stay happy, they can regulate themselves, so we won't have so much trouble. Especially with medical development, we know so many physical illness caused by emotional health.
Right.
So and on top of that, I also think people who are usually, as everybody listen to their friends much more than listen to their doctors and experts. That's how we start in Helen Family and Wellbeing and Peer Education. So that's what we do. And it's much more efficient, because you train people will help their families and their friends. So that's how I see. And I think it's much more efficient way to help people and help change this world. So that's what we do.
And you can just reach so many more people that way. And I love, before we started recording, you were describing it. It's sort of like CPR training, which has been able to, as you said, just help millions of people by just teaching lay people some of these basic skills. So what are some of those basic self-care and self-compassion skills that you're out there teaching people? That you're teaching people to teach people.
Yes, I think the best the way to kind of regulate your emotion is learning self-compassion, mindfulness, self-compassion. So I think it's all emotional basic learnings, because people have so much, especially in China. We're in the culture. You're supposed to be criticize yourself a lot. We have slogan like the 批评与自我批评 means you criticize other people, you criticize yourself. That's where you grow.
Wow. Yeah.
You make a progress. So I think really people really need to, and also we have the culture not really praise people a lot, because they base it on the culture. So I think especially in China, so many people, they need that kind of nourishment. And since we're in the culture, people not used to give you, I think it's such basic for mental health, for happiness, so learning how to care for yourself, which is mindful self-compassion. I think is the best in practice. I have known Dr. Chris Willard from Harvard. So I know him ever since year 2011. So he has come to China many times.
Mm-hmm.
So we have we now have over 100 MSc teachers.
Wow.
So we have trainings, like this year we have 14 cities,
wow.
to can teach, MSc. Over the years, we have lots of people who learn MSc too. So that's
right.
And we teach, small babies, like 4 to 8 years old, and
Wow.
all the way up to 80 years old. So, because it's almost 10 years, we doing this MSc, and we see people's life has changed, different age, different occupation, and different, background people. They all can learn, they change. Their life have become, changed so much. Their life become, so much better. So,
right.
I just see this. I think, I really think, if people learn a lesson, if the little kids, if they should start learn the single lesson class, I think the mindful self-compassion, that should be the first class people learn. Not math, not literature, not chemistry, not anything else. I think people should learn, the first thing they should learn is self-compassion.
Yeah.
Mindfulness. If you don't have mindfulness, you wouldn't able to do self-compassion. So you have to mindful self-compassion. I think that's the way to go. So that's what I have been working on this for almost past 10 years. So
yeah.
in the country, I have wrote 3 books: Imperfection, Perfect.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
yeah, Imperfect, Perfect. So which is also promote this concept. So we really welcome by the people. Like right now, we invite Chris Willard again. He's here, so we are training 100, almost 120 teachers again. So we not only teach a student, also we train lay people to be a teacher, which is just produce such good effect. We just finished the 14 cities, our teachers, the feedback just just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So we're continue to do the work, and also we translate your book too, mindfulness workbook for teen anxiety.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, which is by the Chinese, I say education system. They list it as one of the must read book for the system. So I think it's really I think mindfulness really helps for the people who.
Are you seeing a lot of cultural resistance around the idea of self-compassion? Sometimes in the US and in the West anyway, people feel like, oh, this is too selfish, this is too self-focused in some ways, and at least in terms of broad generalities, people often think of China as a more group and community focused culture and less focused on the self. Has that, and again, that's very broad brushstroke, but has that been a challenge there to get people to really kind of practice self-compassion, or does it feel like it's fit with the culture? Are people hungry for it?
I think China, as long as psychology-wise, we just starting. Probably starting in year 2008, because after the earthquake happened and people realized the psychology, mental health is important. Before that, we do not have much psychology part, special mental health counseling piece. So the country is brand new. I think it just seems like just pretty open field. We don't have the baggage from the past, it's a brand new land, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I think in that is pretty much welcome from many different kinds of, you know, stuff. And I think self-compassion, because, you know, I think, you know, people, you know, I think either in the United States or in China, they always have misunderstanding about self-compassion. They will think about you're selfish or not, but also they know, you know, because, you know, the people's human basic needs to be loved, to be understood, to be
Right.
cared for. Doesn't matter where you are. And also they know the fact that, you know, so even your mom, your dad, your spouse, or whoever, nobody can be there. I mean, as you love you on any given moment of the day. So what I said, you know, the best friend is yourself. If you become your best friend, you have 24 hours online best friends. Wherever needed, you know, whatever needed, they'll be there. So you learn how to care for yourself, you know. You have, you know, lifelong lover.
Right.
So people like that idea, and they understand too.
Yeah.
Nobody else as accountable as yourself, you know. So I
Yeah.
think that people like that idea. I don't feel like I have trouble to kind of, I guess, promoting the idea. So, you know, our student, I mean, each year we growing. We have different format. We have eight weeks. We have 5 days intensive. Also, we have online program.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so we have different format to meet different people. So growing. I think last year we have 7 cities. You see, we started on 2011. So take us, you know, almost 10 years to build up the foundation. Then we have more teachers and to grow. Like last year, we probably have 7 or 8 cities to teach MSc. I mean, face-to-face, you know, 8 weeks training. And this year we become 14 cities.
Wow.
I think next year we'll have more.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It seems like people start, you know, to accept this more and more. I think everybody need love, and they know nobody can count on, but you can count on yourself. If you learn how to love yourself, will be good. The most important thing is because we have probably, I don't know, several thousand people have learned MSc. They really benefit from that. So, you know, our students is, you know, is mouth to mouth, you know, spread out. People will tell them friends. We have people who bring several people, their mom, dad, and the husband, the whole family come to study. So that's how it becomes spread out, you know. So that will be, you know, seems like, you know, that's a way it is now.
That's so cool to hear. Kind of whole families coming out to learn to learn MSc, to learn self-compassion, and that's something I think that I haven't heard as much about in other parts of the world. We have a little bit of that in the U.S., but to hear that whole families are coming out for these trainings is just so
couples, whole family,
wonderful.
whole family come to learn.
Yeah,
so it's very interesting. The brother and sister, so they all bring them to here.
right. And why do you think there's such excitement around mindfulness and self-compassion, these practices, and particularly with young people, but in general, why now? Why is it, you know, from, you know, 1 or 2 cities to 7 to then 14, you know, doubling in a year? What do you think that is?
I think that, I mean, first thing, you know, maybe 20 years you don't have MSc. And I think, I mean, recent years, you know, China is so many, especially, you know, psychological or medical technology field, you know, we all think American is leading the way. American advance in this, and also, you know, so this is non-pathological. It's not like you have anxiety, you have disease, you have, you know, depression, you know, you need to get, you're sick, you need to get treatment, you know. I think, you know, how we position this is very important. So we do not position us as mental health workers, you know. We position ourselves as peer education. So we position ourselves, you know, so we don't position people, you're sick, you need help. We position where everybody want to have happiness, and we teach you how to be happy. We teach you the way to be happy. I think that's probably has pretty part of that. The major reason is China since year 2008, they start realize the mental health really everybody is personal health and happiness related issues. But so many people they position this as you have problem, so but we do not do that. We think we ever need to be happy, and we teach you lots of happiness skills, and methods to get there.
Right.
I think that's probably local, the big accident what happened, earthquake. That's seemed like this promoter of the whole field. So big needs, people start realize that,
right.
And the hunger for some efficient method. I think that's probably internationally, and also mindfulness start have more and more scientific evidence shows its benefit. And from locally, our country had earthquake. So a combination of that, because also I'm trained in the United States, so probably I'm closer to the newer method and practice,
right.
able to bring back. And plus, I think really address basic human needs. I really do think mental. And mindful and self-compassion, MSC. Among this field, even in mental field, I think best practice is MSC.
Yeah.
Another thing is, I think that MSC, how that developed, because they developed, it's not like from scientists, from research lab. So they come from, I think, like Chris Neff, she is a scientist. Also, she's a teacher. Like Chris, he is. I think the MSC, the soul of MSC is Chris Germer, and himself, have such, sweet and connecting soul.
Right.
I feel like every single cell of his body full of self-compassion.
Yeah.
And because he's in 40 years of clinical psychology, so like science, education and the clinical psychology, combine all this knowledge, combine together, make MSC is very practical, have science-based, also is very practical, also very warm and connecting. So so not like some other stuff, dry. And also I think they wrote the best manual in teaching any kind of psychology stuff. So far, as far as I know, MSC produced the best menu in the world. In that, because menu is so good, so concise, step by step. So for people to easy to follow, easy to spread, because like today we just have this training first day. One lady, she came here training for probably, she has been around, MSC for 4 or 5 years. Another lady, she just come for the first time, but because manual is so clear, she followed the first year lady. She followed this manual to leading exercise to the people who've been here 5 years, similarly effective. So the manual just so concise, so detailed, so connecting, and so clear. So you even newcomers, they easy to learn. Not like give a few pages and you figure it out yourself. Because you couldn't reproduce. I think MSC's manual helps a lot too. Because and also I think himself.
And have you and your team done the work of actually translating the mindful self-compassion? It got a little choppy for a moment. Have you and your team done the work of translating Chris and Kristen's work on self-compassion? Have you translated the manual or with your team?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yeah, in Chinese, yeah,
yeah,
we did. We did that for center for mental health. I'm sorry, for center for self-compassion. So we did
yeah,
that for we translated manual. All the Chinese manual produced by us.
yeah. And
Yeah.
what was that process like translating these concepts into Chinese language and into Chinese culture? Did you make any interesting discoveries or observations about how to get these concepts across? I mean, Chris is already such a clear writer that it makes the
Yeah,
job
yeah.
easy, but
I think it's
yeah,
not that hard because his writing it's very friendly. I think easy reading. His writing itself is not very dry and
right. Yeah,
complicated. I think his writing is very, very clear and warm. So it's not very hard to.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you were
So it's
saying,
very easy. Yeah. It's
yeah.
not hard to translate. Mm.
I want to go back to what you were saying a little bit earlier about how the work that you're doing in the peer education, one of the things that it does is it cuts out the stigma that's pervasive in many cultures and just I
Yes.
think manifests differently in different cultures. Before we started recording, you were talking about the challenges of stigma around mental health in China,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just thinking about how certain countries and places kind of skip over almost certain steps. It's like we think about the cell phone. Like many countries, like they got cell phones before they ever got landlines or before they had an
Mm-hmm.
extensive network
Mm-hmm.
of wired communication.
Mm-hmm.
And in hearing you talk about China, it's like these sort of somewhat Western ideas of mental health and treatment, right? You're saying mental health isn't that old. Individual counseling is not that old in a sense, or at least the Western model of it there. And it's almost like you are jumping over that to get to this broader peer network of support and also, able to move around the stigma. Was that part of what you were doing with creating the more peer oriented program?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I did, and I think, the people in China, probably other place too. If you said I have a stomach ache, I have a, liver problem, and
Mm-hmm.
if leg problem, it seems like you can talk with everybody. You say, oh, wow, you have fever, you go rest, go see doctor. But it seems like you cannot tell people I have depression, I have anxiety. That's
Right.
have shame, lots of shame associated with the mental health. It's just
Mm-hmm.
taboo issue. So, and is one thing. Another thing is, I think so many mental health problems because, human conflict, because, we did not feel like we've been loved, we've been understood, we've been heard, So all happen in the community, in
Yeah.
I guess with people. So I think the problem have to solve in the community, not doctor and a therapist with client. That kind of relationship is helpful, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it's not not practical. Not how do I see So it's like one expert with one person, just one secret. My person's secret. If I talk with you, become two-person secret, still secret. I don't think that will help problem. With peer education, because healing come from common humanity. You feel
Mm.
like I have depression, and maybe my coworkers, my boss, even so many different kind of levels. People they all have that. All of a sudden, you feel like you can lessen the burden, and
Right.
also people healing through sangha, through people's connection.
Right.
Connection, when people connect, this connection, warm and healthy connection itself, is healing because that's
Right.
where we get hurt. So
Absolutely.
so when you in the peer education, like we people in the group, so they basically have 500 people. They accompany their everyday problem they can share in the group, and the 24, 365 days a year. So
Yeah.
if you have problem, you share in the group, and people say, "Oh, your husband, being kind of rude. My husband been rude too," and your kid doesn't go to work, school, and doesn't do well at school, and they share how you deal with that. There are tons of people who help each other in that way, but not in the. And also we have method. We teach them, then they can practice in the group. So I think probably one is we jump over the stigma. Another thing is we really, I think, activated the healing power in the community, which is, I think, is very powerful, very deep. And also we have guidance, like teach them most modern and effective skills, like mindful self-compassion and other skills too. Then people, and also they can practice, they can learn. Our philosophy is, being your own coach, being your own teacher, being your own happiness teacher. So Hailan family well-being, we produce self-happiness coach. So our goal is, teach you to be your own coach.
Yeah.
And they do after they graduate from 2 years, they know how to handle. And then you find them, they become much happier. They have the family and also their friends and then the extended family. Yeah. They are influenced by it, So my philosophy of changing, I think, I think probably you really, life influence life. It's not like you teach people technique, not like you just solve people's problem. I think probably mostly you make people connect with each other, building resources. I think the problem only is when, I don't think life has problem. Only time when life has problem is when you resources, not enough to solve your problem. So the key is not to solve problem, because that doesn't matter how much darkness you reduce, that's still dark. You have to invite light in. So when you build resources and strengths, the problem will automatically will kind of dissolve. So that's my approach. So my approach is building personal resources, social resources. Then they can, when they resource over their problem will be solved. Yeah. But I think traditional treatment is, oh, you have anxiety, how do we do your anxiety problem?
So you're talking, I think, about stigma, and then I was also struck by, even thinking about how to teach self-compassion. Again, there's this idea that self-compassion is selfish, but of course, self-compassion is taught in community, right? It's taught in Sangha, it's taught in groups, and then it's so natural that then the peer ripple would kind of continue to ripple out top from peer to peer to peer.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's the part most effective way, and people I think easy to kind of accept. And just like you tell your friends, let's go buy there's a very good a dress, let's go, and people will go because there's the friends and peers make it much easier, acceptable. Not like if you're expert, were thinking, they have to think about if I can reach the level, or they are thinking you're a salesperson. So there are all kinds of ideas will come out. But when your friends come, say, "Oh, this is really good for you," they'll come. The trust, I think, is very important. So that's how our organization, our students grow, just really by word of mouth. These things really help them. The key is really help to change their lives. Yeah, and they find a new way of, they don't have, they feel, they have sense of freedom, and sense of, self-nourishment. And they can build their own resources, which is very empowering.
Right. I often think about and talk about mindfulness and self-compassion and these practices for all ages. And a lot of my work is with kids, but is that fact that it's just so empowering, right? For people that have felt disempowered, or, their home's been destroyed in an earthquake or whatever else, right? They're able to feel re-empowered and re-embodied in their own experience in such a different way. And I do think in general for kids, we were talking at the beginning about that critical voice that we all have, right? And that manifests differently and is valued differently in different cultures. And I heard recently that starts to develop around age 8 or 9. And wouldn't it be incredible if our young people, if we could teach them a more compassionate voice, so that the more compassionate voice is what's really growing at that age, instead of, or at least in addition to, that more critical voice. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what I find is, when we teach these young kids, I have this summer camp for age 4 to 8 years old. You're amazed. I think the younger kids, they learn faster.
Yeah. It's like, does this make sense?
Yeah, it's very cute, because when they go to kindergarten and then they don't want to go and they cry, this moment I really miss my mom, so I don't really want to go to the kindergarten. But lots of my friends, they don't want to go to the kindergarten.
Yeah. My son just started kindergarten last week. I'm dealing with this right now.
Is he crying? He doesn't want to go. Yeah. But they have way of kind of recognize that, But mommy have to go to work, So and I wish I stay in kindergarten. You don't cry so much. Right. So it's very cute.
Right. They're crying. I'm crying. We can all use some self-compassion.
Yeah. So you see, the kids can get ideas very, very quickly.
They do. Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Much faster than the older people. And also, I think parents and their kids learn together is very crucial.
Yeah.
So then they have common language, and I think the parents, if they can do better, and they will also they can practice together.
Right.
So, and so I teach. I have parenting trainings all the time. So also we teach parents to do that. And one thing is, when parents, they can take care of themselves better, they at least they don't lash out so much.
Yeah.
So they'll become better parents. Around their kids.
Right.
I think all kind of like going circles,
Yeah.
Kids, I like to teach kids much more than teach parents, because they're just so innocent and they're so open. Right. They're no blockage, So the kids, they learn very fast. And then the kids will, now they know. For a while they say, I think you need to go back to study again.
Right.
So,
as we finish up, can you share with folks a little bit about the camp that you're running for kids?
Yeah, running kids, we have different age of camp, like teenagers camp and small kids camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think, probably the kids learn much more faster than parents.
Yeah.
I think if kids has problem, it's not kids' problem, it's parents' problem. So it's the couple's relationship problem. So I think probably, so if you really have kids has problem, parents really need to learn and study, because all those parents have all kinds of issues hasn't been resolved. So I really think, to be able to for your kids to have a better life and better school performance.
Yeah.
I think the best way is parents start learn how to be self-compassion.
Right.
And then you can teach yourself and teach your kids. I think part of this better way of learn. In our camp, we have lots of kids, after they learn, they send their parents to our program.
Right, I bet. Well, I think of self-compassion so often as learning how to reparent ourselves, work with that critical voice that was often installed by our parents, our old teachers who weren't so kind, the larger culture, all of that. We learn how to reparent ourselves. And from there, we can then be better parents to our own kids. And I think that's
right.
So key. Yeah.
Well,
thank you so much, Dr. Hailan. Anything else that you wanna add before we finish up?
Thank you so much. I think this word, it's very important work. I think everybody should learn self-compassion.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
And how can people learn a little bit more about you and your program? Do you have a website, or people just Google Hailan Family Wellness if they're
Yeah.
curious about your work?
Helen, Helen Family Wellbeing .com. But probably I will ask Joy to send you the web linkage so people can go there.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, have a wonderful evening, your time, where you are. And yeah, say hi to Chris.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.